I thought I was the only one that drank every day. At least I felt like that.
I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. Strangers saved my life. Absolutely saved my life. No strings attached.
I just feel limitless, and it's something that I never ever would have felt if I kept myself handcuffed to alcohol.
Things that are new are hard. Things that are uncomfortable and unfamiliar are hard. You can do those things, and the more you do them, the more comfortable they get.
You can do hard things. You definitely can. Don't give up. Think of yourself as a warrior. This is a new challenge, and tackle it day by day.
Welcome to Through the Glass Recovery Podcast, where we believe that connection is the opposite of addiction, vulnerability is the antidote to shame, and personal growth is the key to loving your sober life. We're your hosts, Julie Miller and Steve Knapp. Join us in conversations with people from all over the globe about how you can thrive, not just survive, in a life without alcohol. Hello and welcome everybody to Through the Glass Recovery Podcast. So happy to have you guys here with us. We are going to talk today about how to make sobriety easier. We know that, in talking to all of our listeners, one of the biggest frustrations is that it feels like you're always struggling to stay sober and you don't want to feel like that forever. So we have with us, I'm going to call them like the Instagram sober dream team. These folks are super involved on Instagram. They do such an amazing job of sharing their stories really honestly. And so they've been in the struggle, they're thriving and really happy now. And we're going to have them share some of their experiences with you guys just to get a feel for what this looks like and maybe get some tips out there that will make this feel a little bit easier than it does right now. So we're going to start out with introductions the way we always do. We've got a couple of returning guests, so I'm going to put them on the spot first. And Dave, I'm going to ask you to go first. Can you tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. I am Dave, and I think I just looked last night. I think I'm 1,135 days sober, which seems wild to even say that number out loud. I have 5 kids, a full-time job, and have never been enjoying life as much as I am right now. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for being here. And Dave's been with us on this podcast off and on since we started. So it's amazing just to see how far you've come and how much your life has changed on this
Absolutely.
journey.
Thank you.
Really grateful that you're here to share it with us. And then next we've got Vanessa. Do you want to tell us a little about yourself?
I'm Vanessa, aka Ness, sober in Lake Tahoe, and I am 757 days sober. So just hit my 2-year last month. Very exciting. And with me, I am a recovering alcoholic. I tried to quit alcohol a million times and failed and never gave up. And this time I am thriving. 757 days. Super happy. I've never been happier. And I have 4 dogs and a fiance.
Amazing. Cool.
Still 5 kids.
Huh?
Said still 5 kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
4. Well, including the fiance, 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Super happy to have you back. Thanks so much for being here. Congratulations on 2 years. That's amazing.
You.
Huge accomplishment.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah,
It's awesome
for
to
sure.
have you
This is so
back.
cool. Yeah, I'll just tell our listeners we got on here and Dave and Ness were like, "Oh my God, it's you!" Like they don't always know who they're going to be on with, and so it's really cool just to see people get to hang out that normally just see each other online and on Instagram. So anyway,
is
and
so
then
true. It is so true. We'll get to the last but not least here in a second. But it's so true though, because when our guests book to join us, they have no idea who they're going to be on here with. It is literally like the Russian roulette of podcast guests put together. But
it's always a good result, Steve.
It is. It's a good version of Russian roulette. They don't know who they're going to get. We do. And so it was it's always super cool to see reactions when it's like, "Oh my God, I know you."
I know you. Super cool. Okay, well, last but not least, and joining us for the very first time is Ileana. Do you want to share with our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Ileana. I am 48 years old. I have 2 kids, 25 and 27. Been married for about 28 years, little over 28 years. I have been alcohol free for about 13 months.
Awesome. Awesome.
Before this, I started heavily drinking at the age of 15. And
Oof.
between 15 and now, I stopped drinking for about 6 years while I had my kids. And then we dipped right back into it heavily. Grew up in Orange County, California, moved to Chicago in 2008, and that's when the drinking started. In 2007, drinking started on a daily basis. So I have been drinking daily since 2008. And then just over a year ago, I got diagnosed with hypertension. The left side of my heart, it's enlarged from the high blood pressure. I was consistently swollen. And I'm a nurse at the hypertension clinic at Mayo Clinic. So I
Oh, well.
became a patient in that department.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they couldn't control my blood pressure. They couldn't control the swelling. I was on different kinds of medications, and I had been doing everything. I stopped the salt, stopped taking Advil because Advil was my friend every morning. I did everything except cut the alcohol out.
hmm
Because
That's
I
a
was straight
familiar
up doing
story.
it all.
Right?
Like
Yeah,
I wanted to get rid of everything except my best friend.
right,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
And now you've come full circle. Like this is amazing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're back now. You're here. You're still working. I think in the hypertension unit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, that's
I'm
just
off of blood
incredible.
pressure medication, so
I was
got
gonna
off
say,
the alcohol, and
Incredible.
then 3 months later, all the blood pressure medication.
I was
Oh,
gonna
amazing.
say, so
Wow.
once you got rid of the best friend and the rest of the medication, I was gonna say, how's your blood pressure now? And you just answered that question. That's
It's went
incredible.
perfect. Yeah, it's actually
Isn't that
perfect.
wild?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Good for
That's a
you.
Thank
fantastic
you.
story, and so proud of you for doing what you've done and getting to this point.
Mhm.
Definitely really inspirational. So super
Thank
glad
you.
you're here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation and super glad just to hang out with you guys. Before we dive into the conversation, I just want to remind our listeners, if you love content like this, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, keep following. We produce episodes every week that will help you enjoy sobriety and not just feel like it's something you have to do. So with that, let's dive into this, you guys. What makes sobriety easier? In all your time and all your experiences, tell us some stories.
Ileana already said one thing: lowering her blood pressure is bet
Yeah,
you has made sobriety easier. Like
for
just the health
sure.
aspect, I imagine so.
Definitely. Yeah, there's no rules here,
Yeah,
so anybody's welcome to dive in and we'll just see where it goes.
I think the obvious answer is time, right? The more time goes on, it gets easier, which is something that when I was hearing people tell me that early on, I thought they were absolutely bananas. There was no way this was going to ever get easier, right? It was always going to be the hardest thing. But then I think finding something that can fill that void, because you are essentially breaking up with something. For me, that was fitness and health. I started off just doing cardio because I only cared about wanting to get heart healthy. And then I dove in to adding weight training. And then I started watching my nutrition. And it was like all the stars aligned for me. And I just continued to find new limits and new challenges and just keep pushing myself. And it was a game changer.
It's been really cool to see you on that journey too. When did you actually dive into the fitness part of like the health and wellness part of this? Because it wasn't
I'd
immediately, right?
No, it wasn't. My first year of sobriety was really, really rough. It was hard for a long time. I kept thinking like, oh, if I just make it to 90 days, this is going to get easier, and it didn't get easier. There was a lot of challenges with coming back from rehab that I had to face and handle and learn to navigate my relationship. But once we kind of figured out all of my home life, about a year into it is when I started to dive into fitness. And I've been doing fitness for about 2 years now. It helps that my partner is also super into fitness with me. She jumped into it with me, and we're kind of like a force that just keeps pushing each other and lifting each other. I've dropped close to 70 pounds in the 2 years, and yeah, I just feel limitless, and it's something that I never ever would have felt if I kept myself handcuffed to alcohol. It never would have let me achieve the things I've achieved today. It's pretty crazy.
That is so inspiring. And I think, first, I know for me, when I was early in sobriety, if somebody was like health and wellness, fitness, that's like I would have been like, no, I'm not even sort of interested in exercise and diet. And that was just not on my radar, nor did it feel like it was going to fill a hole for me. Things are different now. Actually, I'm a lot more focused on my nutrition and on exercise and fitness, but I'm 4 years into sobriety. And I think what I would say to kind of play on what you mentioned, Dave, is it's okay if it's not health and fitness, but finding goals and finding things to challenge you and working towards those things, to me, that was what filled the void. And it didn't matter what it was. Sometimes it was personal growth stuff. Sometimes it was, building the relationships around me back up after I'd destroyed them. It was learning new skills. It was creating things. It was whatever, but it was having a goal and growing into it, learning more about myself, challenging myself in some way. And that actually gave me something else to focus on instead of just, oh my God, I can't drink. What am I going to do? This is horrible. Right. Because that was how it starts is you're just like, this sucks. I can't drink. I'm bored. I have no coping skills. So moving into focusing your attention on the challenges, I think was really helpful for me.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love goals and achieving them. I think the important thing with goals is to be mindful of, just because you cross that finish line doesn't mean you're done, right? Like find a new challenge or a new goal and set yourself up to be moving forward constantly.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
You look fabulous, Dave. You're killing
Thank
it.
you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
agreed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just tell our listeners, go find Dave on Instagram and you can actually see his whole journey and the complete change and transformation. So go check out Dave and I'll make sure we have links in the comments for you guys, or in the description for you guys, so you can catch up with all these folks on Instagram. But for sure, super inspirational journey that you've been on.
Thank you so much. Seriously, it means so much to me. Thank you.
So Ness or Ileana, what do you guys have? And what comes to mind when we talk about how we make sobriety easier?
I think what makes it easier is if you actually have somebody to talk to about recovery. For me, when I tried to recover quietly and silently, I didn't have anybody to talk to. I did on an online community, but that's different than picking up the phone, calling somebody when you're going through a tough time. So, what made this time different is the fact that I actually let people know that I was recovering. So the first person I talked to was now my fiance. I reached out to him. He was 6 months sober. And I had said, how did you get sober? I talked with him every single day through all my emotions. And then also, I have an aunt who's 20 years into recovery. So I had two different people that I could call when I was going through angry times and everything. And just being able to talk to one of them made this time feel so much better to go through the hard times because I wasn't alone. It's different when you're just texting, not texting, but you're on an app, a drinking app, than it is when you're actually talking to somebody that you know who actually went through recovery. So for me, I would say what helped me is actually connecting with somebody that I could talk to or see in person.
Yeah, I
Mm.
fully agree with that. So that reminds me of this story that comes up for me whenever I talk about what makes it easier. When I was hiking the Colorado Trail, so we're talking like a 40-pound backpack, slogging up hills, sleeping alone in a tent in the woods for weeks, right? And I remember I was like on day 3 or 4, And I felt like I'd been walking uphill for 3 or 4 days. I was alone in my tent at night. The noises were creepy. And I'm like, what on earth am I doing? This is crazy. This is miserable. I am not going to be able to complete this. This is, all of the thoughts that come up when you're doubting yourself. And then the next morning, the first thing I did was get up, pack all of my stuff up, and go to this little stream on the side of the mountain where you fill your water. And there was this other guy there. His name was Boomer. This guy who was like, 10 years older than me. He was like actually kind of super fit and whatever. But we're sitting there and he's like, man, this is so much harder than I thought it was going to be. And I was like, dude, me too. I needed to hear that. I thought I was the only one out here that felt
Yeah.
like this is impossible. And he's like, no, like I was so tired last night. I just wanted to give up. I was laying there in my tent thinking, this is just crazy. I'm never going to finish. And he was saying the same things I had been thinking. And I realized like that gave me the push that I needed to be like, okay, I'm not alone. This is
Yeah.
hard for everybody. We can keep doing this. And I got the same feeling from my community when I quit drinking. This is hard for all of us. We can do this together. It's okay if it's tough. It's okay if it sucks sometimes, but we're all in it together and we're going to keep going. And that was so massively helpful for me in the early days.
Yeah, for sure. I love connection and community. And first of all, if anybody comes to a crossroads and you meet somebody named Boomer, I promise you that's going to be helpful. Just by the name Boomer, I'd be like, dude, this guy's going to help me. I know it.
Yes.
But also I think back to those early days where I was having struggles, and you find the connection and community in like the most random places like Instagram. I remember reaching out to Julie and Steve when I was having hard moments, and these two total strangers would help talk me through it and navigate it. And without meeting people like you guys, I don't know what direction I would have went, but I wasn't scared to reach out. So don't be scared to reach out and extend your olive branch to somebody, because it'll get reciprocated. I promise. This community is awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ileana,
Yeah, for
what's made
early
sobriety easier for you?
early sobriety, I didn't do anything traditional.
Excellent.
I
That's what I want to
would
hear.
have I would have loved to go to, groups and, somewhere where I can sit and talk to people, but I was so afraid of running into someone that I knew, like a patient.
Uh-huh.
hmm
You know, everyone goes to Mayo Clinic, and God forbid that I would run into someone that recognized me on the other side. So I did it the hard way. Like I told people, but I had to basically rebuild new routines in the day.
Uh-huh.
And the first month I literally went day by day, hour by hour, just do what you need to do, go to sleep, wake up, and restart. But for me, it was building new routines. Like I would go to bed the first month or two, I was going to bed at 6:30 p.m. because that's when I would pop open that bottle of wine.
hmm
So I would go to bed, take my bath, go to bed, wake up at 4 a.m, journal, read my, I have this book of like prayers that women in recovery wrote.
Cool.
Oh,
So
neat.
every day I would read one of their stories or one of their, and then I would go to work, call my husband on the way home when I wanted to stop and get that bottle of wine. He said that lasted for like, I think probably 2 months.
Ileana,
Yeah.
I spoke to someone every day on my way home from work for 4 months.
Yeah.
And it was that just, it became part of my routine too on my way home
Yeah.
to talk to someone on the phone. And then eventually, like, I didn't need to do it for that long, but damn, it was comforting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's building the new routines. And then I think not until maybe a couple of months in, I started changing my mindset. Like I started not thinking that I was depriving myself. Like that I stopped saying to myself, I can't have the drink, but I don't want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I stopped thinking that I was missing out on something.
It's that switch from I can't drink to I don't want to drink. It's magical.
Yeah, the first few months it was definitely I can't drink because I have to get past this. I have to get, I have to make it to the next day. I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. And then I ended up changing my mindset from someone on Instagram. I saw that she had wrote, start changing the way you think of alcohol. It's not doing anything for you, but it's taking from you. So then I just started changing my mind frame of my mindset of how I saw alcohol. And I'm like, it took for so many years. So that's when things started getting a little bit better.
When you start easing the pressure off of this is something I can't do to this is something I don't want to do anymore. But I don't know what that looks like because that's a fresh mindset after, like you said, starting at 15 years old. It's kind of a different mindset to like switch when you're later in your 40s and you're like, whoa, how do I do this? Like switching a mindset when you're older feels like it could be a monumental task, right? Got
Right.
40 years of routine, 30 years of routine, 15 years of routine that now I've got to figure out how to upend and give new meaning to.
Yeah.
If I don't give it any meaning, it's not going to do anything for me. I'm not going to, and I'm not going to continue it. It's just not going to, it's not going to provide me any value. And so to give it value on the back end of it, and that's the hard part, right? Is to give it the value on the back end, because then that means I have to commit to something different than I was committing to before.
Yeah.
And so, Vanessa, you touched on one of the things that made sobriety amazingly easier for me was talking about it. And I was at the point in my life where I was so willing to just talk about it.
Yeah.
I had kept everything inside for so long that finding the ability to say what it was that was on my mind, even though it was shameful, but that was the hardest part, it was like a breath of fresh air. And it made it harder and easier all at the same time, because it was hard in the moment, but I felt the relief after. And that was the part it was the weirdest mindset, weirdest shift that I think I needed to make there was the things that I needed to say stopped being used against me because I found the right people. And I think that's super important, is finding the right people. So you can hear your reflection of what you need to process and move through and make the change. And so strangers, I say this all the time and I'll say it again, strangers saved my life. Absolutely saved my life. No strings attached. They have no emotional responsibility to me or my problems. They can try and fix me. They can try and not, and they can also say, I don't want to deal with your crap, and they can leave, and then I can, move on to someone else. But it hurts a lot less when a stranger walks away than, a family member, a loved one, a husband, a wife, whatever, that you have this entangled emotional attachment with that you also need to fix and heal. But strangers really, literally did save my life. And the other point that I was going to make was you're really only alone if you never let anyone in. I figured this one out early on, and this goes back with the strangers, and this goes back with letting go of shit I was carrying that I didn't need to carry anymore. And the more I was able to release and accept, the easier sobriety got. The easier it was for me to open my mind to something new. And try something different than what I was doing, because that clearly wasn't working the way I was wanting it to work. And I think that's the hardest part because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
I want it to work. I want this relationship to work. I want, these people to like me. I don't want to be in arguments or have arguments with my family in my life or work or feel all that. I don't want any of that stuff. I just want it to go away.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, the easiest thing to do was to take responsibility for my part in making it go away.
Yeah.
Which, once again, easy and also difficult. But the easiness always came after doing the difficult thing. I think that's the important part.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to jump in on
Uh,
that really quick. When we talk about mindsets, what you just said, I think that we have this thing in our head that is like, if it's hard, it's bad. We should avoid the hard things because they're hard, because they suck, because they're challenging. And so when we stop drinking, we're like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is awful. This is miserable. This is terrible. And
Yeah.
you'll even hear people in meetings or, on social media or whatever, that's like, the first few months are just going to be horrible. They're going to be miserable and they're going to be awful. And you just have to push through the suck and whatever. And I don't think that's helpful. Just because something is hard doesn't mean it has to be awful and doesn't mean that you have to hate it. And Dave can vouch for this too. It's that setting these goals and facing these challenges. I climb mountains for fun. Steve and I do this. We hike 14ers, which are like really big mountains in Colorado. You wake up at 2 a.m. It's dark. You're out there. It's freaking cold.
Yep.
You know that the next 6 hours are going to be really, really hard. And there's going to be moments where you just want to be like, nah, I can't do this. I'm going to turn back. Like, this is so hard. You're pushing your body to its limits. You're pushing your mind to its limits. And you know that it's going to be worth it when you get to the top. So you embrace the challenge and you're like, hell yeah, I'm going to do the hard thing because I want what's at the end of this. If we can look at it that way in early sobriety, instead of like, oh, I have to go through this miserable, horrible time and it's just going to be awful, that shifts so much energy into something positive where you're like, hell yeah, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to beat this. This is going to be freaking awesome. And I don't know, it just, that whole mindset shift is massive. Dave, I feel like I cut you off, so I'm
Yeah.
going to give you the floor.
No, no, that's a good point. All that, hard is actually giving you the tools that are going to make the good that much better, right? You're building through that hard. I look back at all my old Instagram early on and I was like, "Whoa, woe was me. This is the worst day ever." But you know what I mean? But I had no idea what I was learning in those moments now,
Yeah.
right? Like now I can look back and be like, man, that was like you were going through lessons right there. And every one of those hard moments that I didn't drink, I was learning and learning each day and building to become stronger every day. So those hard moments are super important and can be viewed and framed in way more positive light than I think people do. The other thing I was going to say is once I was able to get through the fear of putting a voice on me needing help, right? Then I just became a floodgate. Like once I finally got myself the courage to say, hold on, I need to make a change. I need help. I'm going to rehab. It opened up the floodgates and I didn't stop talking about it. From day one, I've been vocal since the jump. My family knew, my work knew, everybody knew what was going on. And total strangers, like Steve was saying, because I'm so vocal, end up helping me. I remember at work one night, I was having a really tough night. I saw this random customer and he was looking at alcohol and I randomly went over to ask if he needed help and he says to me, "No, I don't I don't drink. I was just looking at this display." And I was like, "Oh, really? I don't drink either. I'm actually having a really tough time." And he's like, well, whatever you need, I'm here. I'm 45 years sober." I'm
Damn.
like
Wow.
these moments just happen, like right when you need them, right at the most pivotal point. And I ended up having a 5-minute conversation with this guy, and when I walked away, totally changed my whole night. I was totally good. So the more you put a voice on it, the more welcoming it is for others, and you never know what conversation you're going to find yourself in.
I
Definitely.
agree. I think in early sobriety, once I got past the embarrassments, like I thought I was the only one that drank every day. At least I felt like that, Once I got past the embarrassments and I let everything out and I told people, things got easier. right?
Yeah.
Because I was not the only one out there. I was not the only one that was dependent. I would have literal anxiety attacks if I knew I did not have alcohol when I got home. I would freak out, So I
Yeah.
think once I let go of the I'm not the only one. There are other people like me. There are people going through what I'm going through. It got easier. Once I started talking more about it, it got easier. Like if you see my Instagram account, I set it up 2 months after just to voice my thoughts and everything. I had no pictures. I had 0 pictures. I had 0 videos. Like I think once I started seeing more people in the community, that there was other people like me, other moms, other people with jobs and, adults that were drinking and holding down jobs. I think
Still
it's what's
functioning,
like
but haven't
still
lost it all yet.
functioning, but haven't lost it all yet, you know?
Mhm.
Well, lost it all externally because I had lost it all like internally.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
Know
was
that
gone.
feeling.
Yeah, and that loneliness, we isolate ourselves, and I think that's the thing that stops us from talking about it, from asking for help, all of these things that will make it easier because we're like, I'm the only one who does this. Like statistics tell us that 1 in 10 people has an unhealthy relationship with alcohol and wishes they drank less than they do. That means when you go to the grocery store and you look around, 1 in 10 of those people are probably in a similar place, wishing that they drank less, don't know how, and feel completely alone about it. We're not
Mhm.
nearly as alone as we think we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was actively drinking, I thought if I went out to dinner, my assumption was everybody was drinking, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
when I got sober and started going out to eat and I would survey the room, I'm like, there's so many people that don't have alcohol right now. I was like,
What's
this is
wrong with them?
so weird. This whole time when I was actively drinking, I thought literally everybody was just doing the same thing I was doing when I
Mm-hmm.
was out. And now I'll go out and I look and I'm like, oh, look, like they have iced tea, they have water. Like, oh, people do this thing that I'm now doing that I felt so awkward about. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I used to think everyone drank. Who
Yeah.
doesn't drink? We'd go
Mhm.
hiking in the morning and I'd be with the killer hangover because like I said, I got rid of everything except the alcohol. And I'd go hiking in the morning. I was like, why do these people look so alive and well kept? And aren't their hangovers killing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So funny how we think and just the assumptions that we make to feel like, I don't know, it's just wild what we do in our heads.
I always like one of the things that I used to say was you can't trust someone you can't have a beer with,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
talk about a
Yeah.
bullshit lie. Wow. Right.
Yeah.
I would throw myself out with the bathwater there.
Mhm.
If I met myself today, I'd be like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So crazy.
It's just what a mess.
Right. Right. Well, we've covered some really good stuff here. I'm gonna kind of bring this conversation to a close, but I'm gonna start. But first, I'm gonna ask you guys all a certain question, and I'll just let you guys answer in whatever order you want to. What would you say to someone that feels like sobriety is too hard? If I'm sure we've got listeners right now who are sitting there saying, "This is just too hard. I can't do it." What would you say to them right now?
You can do hard things. You definitely can. Don't give up. Think of yourself as a warrior. This is a new challenge and tackle it day by day. Don't think about 3 months from now, a month from now, 6 months from now. Just literally just take it one day at a time. And every single day say, today I'm going to be sober. I'm going to do this. And then do that the next day. But you can do hard things.
Mhm.
That's it.
Absolutely. I love that.
Like Ness said, definitely at the beginning, you will literally take it hour by hour and day by day, and that is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because you worry about 6 months in 6 months. Don't worry about the next week today, right? And most of all, give yourself grace and self-compassion. yeah, give yourself grace, the self-compassion, and find your community and tell people what you're doing. Really, the more people you tell, the more people I think it'll you'll have some sort of, I don't know.
Support.
There's support, yeah. Community connection, reframe your mindset. There are other people out there like you. Do what feels right for you. Like, certain things might not feel right for you. I took pieces and bits from everywhere. I looked up everything, you know. But yeah, the beginning, it's not a walk in the park. For me, it wasn't a walk in the park. But the first few months I took it day by day, then week by week, and then I took it month by month. But it wasn't until you change your mindset of what you are actually getting in return from giving up the thing that was drowning you the whole time.
Yeah, well said.
Well said. Dave?
I would say you're not wrong. It is hard, but you're worth it. And your future self is going to appreciate you sticking through the hard to get you to where you are. Don't give up on yourself. It's going to be worth it. And I want to say one thing, Ileana, I think you have a really important story to share because there are so many people that are in the medical field that I feel like are scared to like go to a group or say out loud that they're in recovery because they have that fear of patients or other people that they may work with seeing that. So you have a very important story to share. I think it's awesome that you're doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a little terrifying at first, a lot, but then I thought there are more people like me. Just because, just because we work in the medical field and, alcohol does not discriminate. Alcohol will take whoever will pay attention to them, and it did. And I'm really even everyone at work knows. Like about a year in, I told everybody.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
they
That's
were
awesome.
all, well, you didn't look like you did have a problem. And I got that whole
Right.
thing. But yeah, I have it on my car, I have it on my license plate, alcohol free, like I
Yeah.
park in the employee parking lot, so there's like no turning back.
Yeah.
It
I
goes
love
from
that.
something we want to hide and something we're so ashamed of to something that we want to celebrate with everybody in our lives. And that is really cool. I'm so happy that you have found your way to that point. And like Dave said, I think it's fantastic that you're willing to talk about it because not enough people in your profession do.
And I'm gonna throw something out here with that fear of being seen by people locally and that sort of thing. Julie and I host an online recovery meeting. That's an all recovery meeting. It's not like AA. It's very much like this podcast. It's on Zoom. So you can live anywhere and then hop on this Zoom meeting, and there's an extremely high likelihood that you are not going to know anyone there from your neighborhood or from your circle. And so that's always another option. Julie, I'm going to go ahead and answer the question that you asked.
Yeah, really quick though, I'm just going to play out like what you just said about our meeting. I'm going to drop a link in the description. So if you're interested in joining us on Zoom and want to hang out and just talk about sobriety and find that community you've been missing, check the link in the description. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. And so I come up with two things here. You've survived everything up till now. Everything, all of the hard in your life, right? You survived it all up till now, which means you're already a badass. It's just hard to see that you are. So the next thing I want to say to that is I'm proud of you because you're still here and you're still fighting. And that's what it's all about. So don't give up until that miracle happens, because it will. It does. There's examples of it right here. And the last thing is, if you don't have people that support you in your sobriety, find new people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Like it's a harsh thing to say. It's also true.
And I would say if there's somebody listening right now that feels like it's too hard, if it's so hard they don't think they can do this, things that are new are hard. Things that are uncomfortable and unfamiliar are hard. You can do those things, and the more you do them, the more comfortable they get, the more familiar they feel, the easier they feel. And so you've got to just stick with it and practice. Practice all of the things in your life and doing them sober. And it's going to get easier, and it's going to get easier. It's all just a matter of not giving up, like Steve said, not giving up before the miracle happens. Stick with it, give it enough time, and you're going to start seeing the benefits and the joy that's on the other side of what's hard right now. So we want to say thank you, Ileana. Thank you, Ness. And thank you, Dave, so much for being here with us today. Thanks for sharing all your experience and thoughts and just making the time for it. We know that our listeners really need to hear stories like yours. And so we're really grateful. Thank you guys for being here.
Yes,
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you,
Yeah, thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see everybody in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it so much fun?
Yeah.